Two people want the exact same thing this year. Same goal, same willpower, same good intentions on January 1st. One of them is living a completely different life by December. The other is standing in almost the same spot, wondering what happened. It was never about wanting it more. It was about a handful of mechanics, how habits actually form, why they stick or don't, and how tiny daily choices quietly compound into a different person. Today we're mapping the whole system, start to finish, in one sitting. Every habit, good or bad, runs on the same three-part loop. A cue triggers it, a time of day, a feeling, a place. A routine follows, the actual behavior. And a reward reinforces it, even a small one like relief or a dopamine hit. Your brain doesn't judge whether the habit is good for you. It only notices that the loop worked, and it wants to run it again. This is why willpower alone rarely wins. You're not fighting a bad decision. You're fighting a loop that's already wired in. Goals are a direction. Systems are what actually get you there. Everyone who hits a big goal has roughly the same one. Lose the weight, build the business, write the book. The people who succeed aren't the ones with a better goal. They're the ones with a better system underneath it. The daily process that runs whether they feel motivated or not. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. So stop upgrading the goal. Start upgrading the system. There are two ways to build a habit. One is outcome-based. I want to run a marathon. The other is identity-based. I'm the kind of person who runs. The first one requires motivation every single day, because the outcome is far away and abstract. The second one requires almost none, because every time you show up, you're not chasing a result. You're casting a vote for who you already believe you are. Small wins stop being small when they're proof of an identity. That's why identity-based habits outlast motivation-based ones by years. Most bad habits aren't a willpower failure. They're an environment failure. If the guitar's in the closet, you won't practice. If it's standing in the middle of the living room, you will, almost without deciding to. This works for cutting habits too. If the phone charger is in another room at night, doom scrolling gets a lot harder to start. You don't need more discipline. You need to make the good choice the obvious one, and the bad choice a little more inconvenient. Design the room, and the room does half the work for you. The reason most new habits die in the first 2 weeks is that people start too big. Read more becomes read one page. Meditate becomes sit down and take one breath. Work out becomes put on your shoes. This feels almost too easy to count. And that's exactly the point. A habit has to be established before it can be improved. You're not trying to win in week 1. You're trying to prove to your brain that this loop is safe and easy to run, so it stops fighting you. Once the habit exists, scaling it up is the easy part. You will miss a day. Everyone does. Travel, illness, a bad week. That's not what breaks a habit. What breaks it is missing twice in a row, because that's when I had a bad day quietly turns into I'm someone who doesn't do this anymore. One missed day is an accident. 2 is the start of a new pattern. The entire skill isn't perfection, it's a fast recovery. The people who look consistent from the outside aren't the ones who never slipped. They're the ones who never let a slip turn into a second one. The easiest way to install a new habit is to hang it on one that already runs automatically. After I pour my coffee, I will read one page. After I close my laptop, I will write down tomorrow's top task. You're not asking your brain to remember a new behavior out of nowhere. You're attaching it to a cue that's already firing every day without fail. Chain enough of these together and you get something that looks like discipline from the outside, but from the inside it barely takes any effort at all. It's just one domino tipping the next. 1% better every day for a year doesn't sound impressive. It doesn't feel impressive most days either. That's the trap. For months it looks like almost nothing changed. Then quietly, it compounds into something that looks like an overnight transformation to everyone who wasn't paying attention. The frustrating part is that the results always lag behind the effort. You're making deposits for months before you see a single visible return. The people who stick with boring small habits during that invisible stretch are the ones who are still standing when it finally shows up. Not all habits carry equal weight. A keystone habit is one that quietly drags several others into place behind it. For a lot of people, that's sleep. Fix your sleep, and your appetite, mood, and focus improve without you touching them directly. For others, it's exercise, or making the bed, or planning tomorrow the night before. You don't need to fix 10 things at once. Find the one habit that other good habits tend to follow and put your energy there first. Let it drag the rest of the system into place for you. That's the whole map. Every habit runs on a cue, a routine, and a reward. Systems beat goals. Identity beats willpower. Make the good choice obvious and the bad choice inconvenient. Start absurdly small, then scale. Never miss twice. Stack new habits onto ones that already run automatically. Trust the compound effect even when nothing looks like it's happening. And find the one keystone habit that drags the rest of your life into order behind it. None of this requires more motivation than you already have. It just requires the right mechanics. If this map was useful, subscribe. Next week we're drawing the psychology of money. I'll see you in the next one.